I don't really know about this Bitcoin stuff. Is it still around? I read recently that it absolutely crashed, and it's very volatile. I don't know what backs it up. Like, what's behind it? Why do people even like it? If that's you, if that's the way you think, and those are the things you say, where do I start? To be quite honest, you need to catch a wake up. And that's me being polite. You know what you sound like? You sound like an old lady or old man back in the 90s. They would say things like, this email thing, it's very complicated. I don't think I'll be using it because the post office has been delivering my mail very successfully for the past 20 years, and I don't see any reason to change. Computers are also very complicated. Who's actually even going to get involved in this email stuff? Don't be that person. Guys, in this video, I'm going to build a case as to why I believe Bitcoin is going to 20 million Rand per coin. And for my international viewers, for all of my international viewers, yes, both of you guys, 20 million Rand, I'm not talking about $20 million, so please understand where I'm coming from. Guys, this has been a belief that I've had for a long time, and I haven't shared it publicly, quite honestly, because I didn't want you to think that I've lost my mind. I didn't want you to think that I was having a stroke. But it is a true belief of mine, and in this video, I'm going to build a case to why we are going to see Bitcoin at 20 million Rand per coin. Good morning, everybody. Before we get into that, and before I start building my case as to 20 million Rand Bitcoin, let's take a look at what Bitcoin is currently trading at. Today, we see Bitcoin trading at 1.9 million Rand per coin. So give or take, this is just simply a 10x from where it is now. But it is an absolutely phenomenal idea. And it shows the dominance that we are going to see in the financial sector with Bitcoin in the future. To build my case as to why we're going to get Bitcoin to 20 million Rand, I'm going to focus on three things, and that is the biggest, the most influential, and the most powerful things that we see on our planet, and their views and their adoption of Bitcoin. And that is going to be the core thesis of what I'm trying to explain here. So let's start with Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump is arguably one of the most influential people on this planet, one of the most powerful men in the Western world. And Donald Trump, since being elected, we have seen the price of cryptocurrency absolutely explode. And that is because he has come to the realization, being the very astute businessman that we know he is, that cryptocurrencies are going to be central in America or in the US. They don't want to fall behind. The old regime had a chokehold on cryptocurrency and was trying to prevent cryptocurrency from seeing the light of day. Donald Trump has turned around and he has said that he is going to be a crypto-friendly president. Now, guys, that's all good and well for the price of Bitcoin. But more importantly, Donald Trump has pledged that all the Bitcoin that the US currently holds, they will not sell. They would add that to their reserves. This is the reserves of one of the biggest countries, certainly the most powerful economic country in the world. And in addition to that, people that are very close to Donald Trump, like Michael Saylor, have suggested the selling of traditional economic reserves like gold to booster the Bitcoin reserves. Guys, do I think that the United States will sell their gold to buy Bitcoin? No, I think that that is probably a little bit far-fetched. But just because I don't think it will happen doesn't mean it couldn't. And that in itself, if the US was to adopt or even partially adopt Bitcoin as an economic reserve, we would see the price of Bitcoin absolutely explode. Now, something that's been spoken about a lot is the supply shock. There's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. Probably about 4 to 5 million Bitcoin have already been lost and irretrievable, and they will never be able to be found again. Now, if the states had to start buying Bitcoin, we would see something which is not spoken about very often, and that is the demand shock. So we all know about the supply shock, but the demand shock is something that will cause the price of Bitcoin to absolutely explode. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. We're going to talk about the biggest and most influential companies on our planet. Let's talk about BlackRock. Now, to be honest, BlackRock is not the biggest company in the world. That title would go to Walmart. But BlackRock is the biggest asset manager on the planet. Many people saying that BlackRock owns everything. BlackRock has been buying Bitcoin over the last couple of months like crazy. In addition to that, they've been offering Bitcoin to their wealthy clients in the form of an ETF. And it's not only BlackRock, it's all the big financial houses in the States. And now we're seeing that spread throughout the world. Bitcoin as an ETF, allowing the wealthy, the 1% of the world, to get involved in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, is a phenomenon that we have seen cause the price of Bitcoin over the last couple of months to absolutely explode. Guys, the wealthy, the 1% in the world, are all getting involved in cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin. And this is something that we need to be aware of. This is something we need to take note of. Follow the money if you want to know where the wealth is moving towards. So we've seen the biggest country in the world, biggest companies in the world, all taking Bitcoin very, very seriously. Now, let's talk about countries again. We are seeing countries starting to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. First, we saw El Salvador, a country that historically did very poorly in the economic field. They felt betrayed or left out of the modern economy, and their president decided that he would adopt Bitcoin as legal tender, the first country in the world. The authorities didn't like this, and the International Monetary Fund tried to get El Salvador to backtrack on these steps. But since El Salvador took the decision to use Bitcoin as legal tender and took the decision to buy Bitcoin and add it to the government treasury, we've seen the economy, the people's lives, and the overall financial wealth of El Salvador absolutely skyrocket, a move that has really turned that country around. We've seen the CAR, or the Central African Republic, also start to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. And this being the second country in the world, we've seen them starting to move towards a more financially secure country. Now, as you can see, the dominoes are falling. Many, many countries are up and considering accepting Bitcoin as a strategic or legal tender or a strategic holding in the government. So guys, these three aspects, Bitcoin being adopted as legal tender, the biggest companies in the world offering Bitcoin, and the biggest influential people and men in the world having a favorable outlook on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, should be enough to build a case that allows us to think that Bitcoin in the near future will be hitting the 20 million rand mark. Now, guys, I would like to hear from you in the comments. Do you think I've lost my mind? Or do you agree that Bitcoin at 20 million is something that is not going to maybe happen, but it's something that will definitely happen in the future? Comment below so that we can have a discussion and you can share your thoughts and tell me if I've lost my mind or if this is something that's going to happen. Finally, guys, you know that this is not financial advice. I am sharing my opinion. Don't go out and buy Bitcoin because cryptocurrency is risky. But what we've seen over the last 15 or 16 years that Bitcoin has been around, we've seen a steady increase in the price of Bitcoin. There's been dips along the way, but we're looking at Bitcoin. It is currently very close to its all-time high, which means that everyone that is invested in Bitcoin has returned a profit if they didn't sell it. Guys, if you like this type of content, I'd ask you to hit the subscribe button and definitely hit the like button on this video so that we can get this information out to as many people as possible. That's it from me. I'm out.